The most inappropriate car to do a Grand Prix circuit, I think. I don't care, I'm happy. Good morning from the Channel Tunnel down near Folkestone. So this is our start of our journey, and we're heading, ultimately we're heading over to the Alps. So we're going to be driving through France. We're going to have a stop off in France first, to a little place that I once visited many years ago, but really looking forward to that. So that should be a nice little video. So I've just got through check-in, really simple, read the number plate, tick a few boxes to make sure that it is me and that I'm not driving a different car. And now I'm just waiting to be called to the departure point, which should be in about 5 minutes. Go through passport control, any security checks they want to do, and we'll be on the train. Interesting, huh? Okay, so thankfully we've made it through passport control, and now we are sat in the queue waiting to board the train. You see, and this is why you don't bother rushing anywhere. Queues, lots of queues. Crack a window a little bit, power off, and then that's us for the next 35-40 minutes. So what are the advantages of the Channel Tunnel over a ferry? Good question. So I think in winter, definitely in winter, when there's lots of storms on the channel, I think I'd probably prefer the Channel Tunnel. So obviously the benefits are you haven't got to worry about rough seas. The benefits are obviously the time. I mean, once we get going, it's 30-35 minutes and we're in France. But apart from that, then the negatives are, this is it. You know, we're here now. There's no going anywhere. You can't go anywhere. You can't do anything. But yeah, you know. As I booked this kind of winter time, so I booked this on the basis of I didn't know what the crossing would be like on a ferry, so smoother, quicker, is fine. Right, I'll see you in France. So, welcome to France, and it was quite easy getting off the tunnel, and I'm now on one of the auto routes, and basically we're just going to head towards a place called Reims, as we say in the UK, or Rindt in France. Please forgive my pronunciations. I really don't intend to insult anyone. Unintentionally, I could probably get a gold medal in unintentionally offending people, but I don't intentionally offend people. So please, if you do know the pronunciations of some of these French towns and European towns that we're heading to, and I get them completely wrong, it's not intentional. But yeah, so forgive me. So yeah, let's carry on the journey, and I think the next stop is going to be for coffee. Coffee and something like a croissant, maybe. Yes, please. So, I've made it to the first coffee stop of our trip. Not bad, not bad. So where are we heading? We're heading to a place called Reims Gueux, or Reims Gueux. And Reims, or Reims Gueux, has some classic Grand Prix pits, and it's where the French Grand Prix was held. And the racing used to carry on there until about 1966. And then the whole circuit was shut down in 1972. So the circuit opened and started racing in 1926. And eventually you had the Formula One racing cars there, the Grand Prix cars. And it closed down in 1972. The last Formula One race was 1966. And so that's where we're heading. I'll tell you a bit more about it in a minute, but first I need to finish this coffee, 2 pain au chocolat, because I am that greedy. So if you can hear strange tapping noises, that is an insane amount of flying bugs just hitting the windscreen. France is not short of insects. Let me tell you that now, because in like an hour of driving, my windscreen has been coated with bugs, and I've had to just call into another service station and actually get some. They actually sell squirty windscreen bug cleaner, and so that's what I've done. I've had to go and get there and some wipes, and to be fair, they are brilliant. The bugs are gone, but now they're just, of course, they're back again coating the windscreen. However, I digress. Why am I heading to Reims, or Reims? Again, apologies for my pronunciations of any of these towns and cities. So back in 1996, I bought a Mini Cooper, proper shape, and the same year, in fact about 3 months after I collected it, no, 2 months after I collected it, we'd signed up to do a rally. Not like a gravel stages rally, but like a rally of a group of cars. It was something like 60 classic minis, and we followed the route from Dover to Monaco, and we basically followed the historic Monte Carlo rally route. And one of the first stops on the way was the historic Grand Prix circuit pits at Reims. So that's where we're going, because I haven't been there since 1996. So I thought we'd go there on the way through to our destination, which eventually will be the Alps. So there'll be more videos after this, stay with me. And I thought I'd go and take the camera because there's a group, a non-profit organisation. I think they're called the Les Amis du Circuit de Gueux. And they have basically, for the last many years, been trying to restore the historic pits and stands that are still there on the original straight. And the straight now is just a road you just drive through. Anybody can drive along it, and which we will do in a bit. But yeah, this group have been restoring the pits and the stands. So we're going to have a look at that, and we'll take some photos. In the meanwhile, again, we've got quite a bit of motorway to go, so I'll catch up with you in a minute. Can I just say that this stuff that I bought from one of the services, insect cleaner, combined with glass wipes that I also bought from the services, are amazing. That is all. Now, one of the other amazing things that I bought before I actually came over here was a toll pass from, I think they're called Immovis Pass, Immovis Toll. It means I can go through the toll stations without having to either try and lean through the window or get out and walk around the vehicle. And that little beep, I don't know if you heard that, that little beep means that the toll pass is registered and we're on our way again. We don't need to worry about causing backlogs trying to actually pay the toll. And then basically I get invoiced at the end of the month for whatever tolls I've used with my pass. I was saying about how I first visited the Reims Grand Prix pits in 1996. And we were on this rally, the Monte Carlo, the Mini Monte it was called. And this group of about 60 minis were following the original Monte Carlo rally route. But one of the things I also did, so not only was this like 2 months after I collected the car, but I'd also agreed with a magazine to actually document the journey. If I can find a copy of it, I'll put some images up. But I've been searching for a while, I'm not sure if I'll find it. So yeah, so we were heading off for this Monaco on the Monte Carlo rally route in this classic Mini. And yeah, and so I was having to photograph and write about the whole thing as well for articles in these magazines. So that's why one of the reasons I thought I'd call back in, because it's been so long since I've been there, and it was en route to some photos that I'm going to go and do in the Alps. So there'll be more videos in a bit about getting photography done in the Alps and how somebody with less mobility can actually experience high altitude mountains without having to be a mountaineer. So now I'll carry on, and then once we get to Reims, I'll tell you a little bit more about the area as well. Really looking forward to it, to be honest. It's been a while. So anyway, the circuit actually opened in 1926, and there were many kind of local or national races held here, and eventually the Formula One Grand Prix cars came here, and they raced through until 1966, and the circuit then shut down in 1972. Now the thing the circuit was famous for was the fact that it was it was basically just long straights and a couple of bends, and eventually there was one hairpin. So yeah, it was really notorious on engines and brakes because they were going at such speeds, and the whole race was basically just slipstreaming down the straights. And apparently it was so hard on the engines and the brakes that many cars just broke down because it was full on, flat out all the time, which I think maybe that's what modern day racing needs a bit more of. So basically, the people who raced here would have been the historical who's who of Formula One and motor racing in general. So we're talking Fangio, Hawthorn, Ascari, Brabham, McLaren, Moss, Stewart, Rindt. I mean, anybody who's anybody. And then, of course, in 1950, the British racing driver won here, Alfred Bottoms. So the pits are being restored by the friends of the circuit, basically, and they accept donations, and they've got a little store online where you can buy little trinkets. And I think I might just buy a little sticker or something, or a key ring, because I think what they're doing here to restore such an amazing place is worth the money. Well done. Well done to the friends of the racing circuit. So if you go online and you want to find out a bit more about this place, you just search for the Amis de Circuit Gueux. I'll put a link to that, I think, rather than trying to work out what the heck I'm saying. But yeah, I'm telling you what, on a spring day, this site is amazing. It's so warm at the moment. The other day at home, it was something like, I don't know, 5 degrees or something, maybe a little bit more. It's 20 something here. Fantastic. That's the British for you, isn't it? Talking about the weather again. What are we like? We're crazy, talking about the weather, huh? And in the windows, they've even got some displays showing some of the racing that would have happened here and the way the pits really looked back in the day. And you can see some of the original signage still on here. It's faded, but wow, it's going to look amazing when it's all done. Look at this. So this would have been the two-way tunnel that took the riders and teams and anybody else who needed to be on the infield of the track. These funny little designs that have been left on the walls in the pits. Oh, amazing. Although you can't actually do a lap of the original circuit, well, it's pointless anyway, because there was like 4 iterations of the circuit and they changed things slightly, added a bit more of a couple of bends, because it was simply just straights and a curve. And yeah, like I said, one of the fastest circuits of the time ever. I've really enjoyed this. I'll come back later, like I say, when the sun's not so harsh, we'll get the camera out and do some photos, and I'll drop those in here as well. But I've really enjoyed it. Lovely. What a day. What a day. So the historic Grand Prix circuit has had 4 iterations, and you can't really drive an original lap anymore because of improvements, demolition, things like that. But we can get close to a lap, and I can show you where some of the original track actually runs out. So we'll start on the start-finish line, and then we'll follow it around. We'll go to where the track actually runs out, and then we'll get back on ourselves and we'll finish a lap. Okay, so let's start on the start-finish line. Through the pits and the grandstands, the timing tower. Some guys up there enjoying all the races going through, all the boy races and the motorbikes going through at the moment. That's pretty cool. So yeah, so this was the start-finish line and start-finish straight. And then up here, where is the roundabout now, was just a sweeping corner. So let's take that corner, and but we're actually going to go. We'll use the roundabout as it should do, shall we? I am in a Jeep after all, and they don't like sharp corners that much. So we're driving into the sun. Wow, look at that sunset. Oh my goodness. That's incredible. So this would have just been a continuation of a very slight bend. And so the cars, you know, these historic Formula One cars would have been going flat out pretty much the whole of this lap. All I've got to hope is that unlike the rest of today, I don't get my windscreen coated with bugs, as has been going on. Right, so now I need to do a little zigzag here, and we'll go to where the road doesn't exist anymore. But the road would have just sort of carried on straight, or rather the track. But we're going up here to where the original track, in fact, some of the original track I think you can still see is there. So this is it. This is kind of, look at this. A 2-lane, slightly banked, gradual curve. Wow. I'm driving on a historic Grand Prix circuit in a Jeep Wrangler. Yeah. It's the most inappropriate car to do a Grand Prix circuit, I think. I don't care, I'm happy. And now you're going to see where the track, or the road now, runs out. So what would have happened is we'd have driven along here if we were racing, and instead of where we're about to hit a dead end, the track would have continued on, and basically it would have continued on and then come to a sharp hairpin, and then they'd have carried on straight back down the straight that we'll join in a minute. But this is where the original track runs out at the moment. They would have carried on to a hairpin and come back on that main drag down there. So let's go and join the road again, and we'll go up to, what is a hairpin these days? So it's just adjoining a main carriageway, but it looks like a hairpin. So let's go and find some modern road and head back towards where the circuit you can see it on Google Maps where the track used to be. If you look at the satellite view, I mean. Kicking up some dust behind me. Right. So I'm going to turn right here. Well, I'm not going to come face to face with a racing car, but it looks like I'm going to come face to face with a crop spraying machine, and it's rather large. We'll let him get out of the way first, I think. Goodbye. Now, I bet that's fun to drive. Okay, back driving into the sunset. So this is a little housing development now, and wow, it looks a little bit dystopian to say the least. I mean, kind of modern and trendy, but kind of scary at the same time. Yeah, and they're still building more. Have you ever... Right, let me tell you a little story. A while ago, Mrs. Long decided to choose what film we'll watch for the evening. And she said, oh, I've heard about this great film. It's got some really well-known stars acting in it. And to be fair, the actors that she mentioned usually are quite funny and interesting, entertaining. Now, the film's called Vivarium. So if you've seen it, you know where I'm going with this. If you haven't seen it, save your oxygen. Don't waste your time with it. My God, it was all about this kind of dystopian kind of housing estate that this couple moved into, and they couldn't escape. And they ended up dying. So it wasn't funny, it wasn't amazing, it wasn't amusing, it wasn't interesting. It was like the most miserable film ever. Luckily for me, I think I've managed to find the exit. That's a scary place. Anywho, let's get back on track, shall we? So now we're going to head up back to one of the main straights again. This wouldn't have been part of the original track. I mean, can you imagine racing through here with these embankments up the side? Scary. I'll tell you what, It's not exactly a hardship to be driving around here though. Anywho, so we're coming up to what we're calling our hairpin, and the cars would have joined a hairpin a little bit further back that way. So here's a hairpin. Oh, hairpin, hairpin. Ooh. Okay. Bit of a busy road, so we won't rush. And here we are, we're back on the straight again. So the racing cars, so yeah, I think their hairpin would have joined the racing track about here. And then just straight roads. Still going straight, by the way. Oh dear. Bonkers. Right. We're actually coming to a corner, and the corner existed on the racetrack. For us, it's a roundabout. So quite a sharp corner, I suppose. I mean, they may have made it a bit more manageable for the racing drivers. Actually, yeah, I think that was a slightly easier corner. But guess what? It's another straight, and this is the straight that leads to the Grand Prix pits, start-finish line and grandstands. Here we are back to where we started. That's it, that's the Grand Prix circuit, and that is our visit to the Reims Gueux Grand Prix circuit and pits. So I think that'll do us. I'm gonna head back to the hotel now and download some footage from today. I think I need some dinner. Right. Catch you later.